This is the gospel according to the IRS, Breaking Points and Church Financial Updates. And now, here's the authority, Dr. Michael Chitwood and Breaking Points.
This is Michael Chitwood. Welcome to Breaking Points today, and I've got some breaking news for you. Our entire session this period is dealing with ministers being audited. You are going to be audited at some point in your life. Remember, it's not if they get you, it's when they get you. And unfortunately, that's something that all of us have to live with. But you, as a minister of the gospel, you are a little bit more vulnerable to that situation because it's important for you to understand that you are doing your taxes totally different than the normal person. As we discussed, you are not normal. I want to make that clear to you. You're great, and I don't know what could be better with my job than taking care of you because you're helping so many other people. But I do know this, that cheap advice is expensive. It's not what you know that will hurt you, it's what you don't know. And I know this for a fact. There's a lot of bookkeepers / check writers that do not understand what the tax code says when it comes to the point of ministers' income tax preparation under Section 1402C of the code. Now, yesterday when we left off with you dealing with the tax forms, and I left off with the form that dealt with SE. SE stands for self-employment tax. It's a tax schedule, and that tax form schedule is the schedule that you use to report your income and other items for Social Security purposes. Now, let me give you some facts. So grab a pad and pen. Let's get going with Breaking Points today. By the way, I'm glad you're with us today. Thank you for joining us on the program. This program, I think, is really changing lives because if you only knew the phone calls and the emails and just the letters that we get thanking us for this, we really appreciate you joining us on the program today. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. As we begin this today, I'd like to give you some terms here. Point number one, Social Security. And under that, I'd like for you to put the following. SE equals Social Security, and that's called FICA tax. Number two, you have FICA tax, F-I-C-A, and that's also Social Security tax. And then you have a term called self-employment tax, and that is Social Security tax. And if you put one more down, number four, and you put down Social Security, you know what you'd have? You'd have FICA, SICA, self-employment, and Social Security. And guess what all four of those things mean? They mean Social Security. But there's different names for different classes of employees. I'm talking about the minister being audited by the Internal Revenue Service. Now, some of you have opted out under 4361. I'll deal with that later in the program this week. But right now, I want to talk about the final form that you must have in there because there's a tax benefit for you. The Social Security or self-employment tax rate is 15.3. There's three things. Grab your pad and pen. Let's go. Number one, you must declare your salary or your income from your W-2 on line 2 of Schedule SE. Let me say it again because I want you to do a homework assignment here and I want you to let us know because if not, the Internal Revenue Service, or actually the Department of the Treasury, could owe you as much as $12,000 each year because your tax return was not done by a professional that knows how to do tax returns for ministers. And to be quite frank with you, I'm kindly tired of people doing ministers' tax returns that does not know what they're doing. And ladies and gentlemen, you need to have the confidence, but some of you out there take this the right way. Most churches are kindly cheap when it comes to this. You want to get a bargain. Remember this, cheap advice is expensive. You normally pay for what you get. Some of you out there are paying a cheap price for your tax return to be done, and that's exactly what you're getting, is a cheap job. And I mean that, and I'm not going to back up. The reason for that is ministers of the thousands send their tax returns to us every year, and we see the mistakes that others have made. We've been able to get back some of them large refunds because their taxes were done incorrectly. And I'm tired of it, and you should be too. So with that in mind, let's examine the final form. Schedule SE. Three things go on it. One, your W-2 income from the church. Number two, any housing allowance that you receive from the church. And number three is any unreimbursed or what we call excess reimbursed expenses that you were paid over and beyond or above the amount that you spent must go on line number 2 for your SE purposes. Now, that rate's 15.3. My desire is that you have opted out of Social Security and you've got your own private program going for your future retirement, for your family's retirement when that day comes. But with all of that in mind, you need to realize that in the program, the forms that you must file: 1, a 1040, 2, Schedule A, 3, Schedule D, 4, Schedule E, and the Form 5 is a 2106 form, and the last form is Schedule SE. These are the forms that you should be filing. Now, here's your point. If you will look at your 1040 front page from the previous 3 years, now this is important because this could be a $36,000 refund. Now, I'm not guaranteeing that to you because you got to go look first. This is your homework assignment. And I think that you can go look for $36,000 potential income, don't you, that you've missed. In fact, just the other day in the report that just came out, it says that the Internal Revenue Service now owes people, the Department of Treasury now has found out that they owe thousands of preachers money simply because their tax return was done incorrectly. I want you to pull out the 1040 of your tax return, and on the front page of the 1040 of your income tax return, you'll find a line there that says SE deduction, self-employment tax deduction. You get to deduct 1/2 of your Social Security tax on the front page as a deduction from income. Ladies and gentlemen, that could be a huge refund for you that your person missed. And I'll tell you something, if they missed it, you should go back to them and make them redo it if they know. Well, better yet, don't do that. Just send it to us and let us get it corrected for you. If they messed it up the first time, they'll probably mess it up the second time. And you deserve better, don't you? I believe you do. I want you to change your life. I want you to start letting someone do your personal income tax return that does thousands and thousands of clergy and ministers' tax returns across America today. Find that person, trust that person, and you'll find out that your taxes will be lower than they've ever been before. And the main thing is that your tax return will be correct. And that way you'll have peace of mind. So I ask you, what is peace of mind worth today? When you put your head on your pillow at night, wouldn't it be nice to know that your income tax return, if selected for audit, would be approved and you wouldn't have any additional tax like those ministers in Memphis, Tennessee? They were shocked and devastated by the amount that they owed to the IRS. And guess what? When they get through the audit, they want their check right then. A lot of you can't come up with $13,000 or $18,000 for 1 year because your tax preparer did not complete your tax return properly. Make sure that you have your personal tax return in order before it's too late. Remember, it's not if they get you, it's when they get you. And until tomorrow, this is Michael Chitwood. This is Breaking Points.
Breaking Points gives you the latest IRS updates and tax law. Pastor, if the IRS came to your church today, what would you say? If you really want your house of worship in order, call 1-800-345-9117.